In a previous video, I shared how my Helix is essentially defunct and is now an $1,800 floor-based USB interface. It could work on its own as a desktop recording device, never to see daylight again, but I think I found a way for its soul to live on in the Quad Cortex. In doing so, I discovered how the Helix can be a secret weapon for Quad Cortex users. Keep on watching because I'm going to show you how to capture Helix amps and more inside the Quad Cortex, and at the end, I'll let you hear some of my absolute best captures. I've seen people segregating into either Team Helix or Team Quad Cortex with a very bewildering level of fanboy dedication. Neither side wants to have anything to do with the other. I've even had DMs after posting my QC rig saying that I've betrayed Line 6 and how dare I since they've done so much for me and my channel. Calm down people, it's just gear. In fact, being more open-minded was what led to the realization that the Helix can be a capture device. Those unique M models that have their own character and vibe, those that I've spent years tweaking, I don't have to say goodbye. They can live on here. And honestly, the first time I tried this, it completely flipped my perspective. Instead of collecting dust, my Helix is now the perfect partner to the Quad Cortex. The great thing about the Helix is the sheer amount of input-output options. The way I've patched in the QC will allow me the flexibility to use the Helix conventionally without the need to pull cables out every time I want to use it as a capture device. Essentially, you need a closed loop between the QC and the Helix. Take the capture out from the QC to one of the return jacks on the Helix. In my setup, I've chosen return 3, but feel free to use whichever jack is free on your Helix. Connect the 1/4" output from the Helix to input 2 of the QC. This is so that I have the option to use the multi-out on the Helix to double check any tonal differences if the capture sounds different on QC to how it would have been perceived on the Helix. Now that we're patched in, let's head over to HX Edit. Here's what we're doing on the software side of things. On HX Edit, when you open it up, load up a new preset and change the input to return 3. That's where we're sending the capture out into the Helix. So that's where we're on return 3. And over here, let's change this to 1/4" because we're sending 1/4" out back to the input 2 of Quad Cortex. And right here, let's do a simple amp capture. We're going to load up the Supro and I'm going to load up a single cab. I like my Supro with this and I'm going to change this to the 121. Open up Cortex Control and then let's go to New Neural Capture. It will ask you to make sure your instrument's in instrument 1, which is correct. It will then ask you to connect headphones. Yep, that's what we do. Capture outgoing to the input or target device, which is send, or rather return number 3. And then from the mic or amp, that's going to be from 1/4" outputs on the Helix. Now that's really low. And what we can do is we can start to tweak on the Helix here. My target is always around -18 to 20 dB. That's just the way I like the levels to be like on my Quad Cortex. So let's start the capture. It's that easy. AAWG Pro. And now we wait. It's actually not as long as I thought it would be. I'm going to take a break while we're doing this.
A few moments later.
And we're back. The capture is ready. Let's go. Let's test it. I always feel like the Quad Cortex is a little bit more bass and a little bit more gain. I'm not sure whether it's my cables or hardware setup, but that's just how I'm perceiving the tone that's being captured. But let's save this. Let's hear how it sounds like in my preset. But that's not all you can capture with the Helix. You can also capture plugins, and I'm going to show you how to do this very quickly. The cool thing about Helix is that it's got two signal paths that can route independently from one another. So the idea is that you're going to send the output of this into a USB output, which is going to be seen by your plugin. And then you receive the USB output from the input of the second pathway to the Quad Cortex. Let's change this to USB 3.4. Remember those numbers, USB 3.4. This is going to be the input of the plugin. And from here, we're going to have USB 5.6, which means that in your plugin, you're going to route USB 3.4 as the input, and then you're going to route USB 5.6 as the output. Something's wrong and I can't quite figure out right now. I could do this before all the video stuff was added in. I think there's a system overload. So I'm going to do this in post and you'll see this in the screen capture. So here's the takeaway. Don't list your Helix on Reverb just yet. Instead of thinking either or, think both and. It's not obsolete. It's now your QC's tone expansion pack. All those years you spent dialing in tones on the Helix, all those times you downloaded plugins you wish you could take off the computer, you can bring them out with you now with the Quad Cortex. What about you? What Helix amp model or plugin would you capture first for your Quad Cortex? Let me know in the comment section below. Quick promo before we go. I've spent time tweaking and blending these amps to the point that I feel confident of sharing them with you, and they're available as a premium download. If you'd like to purchase them, you'll find a link for my Buy Me a Coffee shop. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and if you need a complete beginner's guide to the Quad Cortex, I have one happening right here after this. See you there.